To know that you have a moldy building or that there is mold in the building is that you have strong odors or odors of musty, and people start to just feel unwell. They have maybe teary eyes, eye, nose, throat irritation, a little bit of a cough or flu-like symptoms. Mold can be a big problem in workplaces. It really depends on the building. The important thing with mold is that it is, when early detected, that you do something about it. Now, sometimes, of course, people overreact. They see a tiny bit of mold and they think, oh my God, it's gonna kill me. But we most often actually find that there is a lot of mold. People have complained several times, and whoever runs the workplace haven't actioned anything. Mold can breed virtually anywhere, as long as you have nutrients and you have water. And the water does not need to come from water ingress. It can be as simple as condensation, high relative humidity, because the fungi actually can transport the water to where it wants to grow. Signs that mold is actually present in the building are the visual, you can actually see it. So something green, black or any type of color is actually growing on the walls, and often it goes with a strong musty odor. One of the common mistakes in addressing mold is that people underestimate how far spread the mold is gone, and very often we find that the use of harsh chemicals or not appropriate chemicals don't actually kill the mold, or the mold is killed but then the dead mold is not removed, and dead mold still has the same toxic and allergenic potential as a live mold. Bleach actually doesn't really work on mold. The problem with bleach is it bleaches. It takes the color out of the fungi. Now, fungi has melanin like we have in our skin to protect it from UV radiation. The bleach actually leaches that melanin out of the fungi, makes it invisible. So if you spray bleach products in the bathroom, for example, onto your grout, magically it disappears. But actually the fungi has never gone away, because 6 weeks later you will see it will come back and often grows much stronger. And the problem with bleach is that it off-gases a lot of harmful chemicals while you're actually using it. If you have identified that you have mold contamination in your building, the most important thing is to do a proper risk assessment. So first you need to know what type of mold do I have, how much of it is there, in order to know how to get rid of them. If you have a proper risk assessment, you then should have a what we call scope of works, which details point 1 to 10 what you need to do in order to move the contaminant out of the building. Then you should follow the process, and once all remediation work is done, you then would do clearance testing to actually leave a clean bill of health. There is no such thing as a healthy mold, but mold is part of our natural environment. The job of a mold is to break down organic matter. So we need to learn to live with the mold, not against it. You need to be aware that mold is all over our skin, is in our intestine, and helps us to digest all types of food. So we need to learn to live in symbiosis with the fungi, and that way when we do mold remediation, we don't want to kill or eradicate all the mold. We want to bring the environment back to what we said before, normal environmental conditions. Mold is actually the asexual form of fungi, and fungi has its own kingdom. It is very highly genetically developed, and it can reproduce by sex for recombination, so it can actually live everywhere, or without sex, just by cloning like Dolly the sheep. And the mold is the form that we see on the wall. It's the fluffy stuff that is greenish or blackish, and that is the asexual form. Means the fungi is in its perfect environment, and all it does, it just divides in half. The symptoms people experience when they are exposed to mold or byproducts from mold It normally starts with what we say flu-like symptoms, eye nodes, rose irritations, which is what we say allergenic reactions to the fungi. We then have what we call the pathogenic reaction, is when the fungi actually can grow inside you. Now this is actually really, really rare, or you need to have an accident where you have cuts into the skin and then subcutaneously the fungi grows. Now what people completely forget is the toxic reaction to mold. And what is happening, that the human body reacts to the off-gassing, the fungi breathes like you and me, and the off-gassing, the fungal exhales VOCs, volatile organic compound, and mycotoxins. And mycotoxins have a neurological effect on the human body, which then people experience fatigue, chronic fatigue, change in behavior, and depression. What I suggest if you are a company is that you do regular health fit checks of the building. Now we actually suggest to do that minimum once a year, and there's a standard test where you check on relative humidity, temperature, CO2 as a measure of good ventilation, and you take biological samples out of your air conditioning in the air, and then you can do a health check, and if you have a problem you can fix it. And if not, you can actually show that you care about providing good indoor air quality. What the strategy is that we have at Mycologia is to actually give you a holistic picture of the problem. So the first and foremost goal is to find the source of the mold. Why is it there in the first place? Then how can we fix it? Then to actually provide the people who can fix it, and then afterwards to check, have we fixed it? Is it now fit for occupancy?